So let's take a look at this updated RD2000 manager layout for MIDI Designer Pro X. We've done a major rebuild here to take advantage of Pro X capabilities and also support the new tones in the 2000EX. We have an iPad Pro here. We're wirelessly connecting with the CME WIDI Bluetooth adapter. You can also use hardwire connection. When we open it up on the left side, we see our index that takes us directly to all our capabilities. We have a tone selection that lets us select tone. We choose the zone we want to load it in. We have our main categories, subcategories, and specific tones. So we can, if we want to get an organ, we go right there. Or our pianos, for example. With the piano forward board, 367 pianos, we also have a piano sort that just has your pianos available. One of the nice new things in MIDI Designer Pro X is the ability to load in user text information, so like program names. So we can bring in a single program name, like say we've just updated program F01, so we want to bring in F01. I select it, press this, and it brings that program name in. But initially we want to load all our names, so we'll hit this and let that start loading. Anytime we have load buttons are green, and if they're not instantaneous, they'll have a progress indicator underneath them. So this is going to take about a minute, so we'll take a break while that's running. Okay, that's completed processing, and we can select back to our bank selector here. This is, because I've done so much work on this board, it just has the default factory programs in it right now, but you would see your program names loaded here. RD2000 does have a little simple rhythm section. And we have a little simple control over it here. You can adjust things. If you want more capability, we do have a RD2000 rhythms layout that lets you sequence the patterns. And I'm going to do an update to that that's going to improve that sequencing here in the near future. We do have our standard mixer that lets you take a look at the traditional view of a sound chain here. This is the internal settings or internal volume, so let's put a few more zones on here. And we can adjust our settings here. Pan, delay, reverb sends, main subbed outputs, we can send them all there. Our USB controls, and our MIDI channels down at the bottom. So let's put those back the way we were as we go forward. But the RD is a very complex board. It has lots of settings. And what we have here is what I like to call an effects summary that gives you more of a functional view of the sound flow throughout. So we have our first four zones here that can have the effects, and we show what effect is loaded. And I should point out again, anytime we have a gray box, that's status only. There's a different way we'll change the effects. And our ModFx, our tremolo setting, and then we have our sends over here, delay, reverb, sympathetic resonance, which will work on many tones, not just supernatural tones like Roland will tell you. The tones loaded are shown there. Our program name is here. We can't tell if there's a program or scene loaded, so if you had a scene loaded, push the button once, you'd see your scene name. And over here we have our master effects, sympathetic resonance, delay, reverb, EQ, and compressor. And you have a hyperlink that'll take you to the page for those settings. You can come back to the overview. So that lets you dig in and understand a little better. And let's say even you have a program you don't know what's going on. Like we have this, maybe there's this reverse piano that they have, a reverse piano sound that is in the, so we can see what that is. This program was reverse piano and pad, and it will tell us as they're getting that from that reverse delay setup. So we could go take a look, and we have that here. Let's see, reverse delay. Find that in alphabetical there, and load settings, and that will show us what the settings for that reverse delay are. When I was looking to buy this board in 2017 to replace my K52, I was looking at the RD2000 and one of the current Hammond boards that also had piano sounds. Obviously went with the RD, but I also wanted to sort of recreate some of that control capability you had with the Hammond here. And so we have on this left side, you have your typical Hammond controls. One of the nice things is this is one of the tone wheel controls are one of the things that will synchronize automatically when you change them here. And then we have our tone wheel speed control down below. This is an idea actually from just off Eric Griffin off the internet discussion recently. And we could add in our vibrato and chorus controls, turn those off. Still doing some fine tuning on those, so there'll be an update once I get them sounding a little more authentic to the way the Hammonds worked. As part of this journey, I ended up assembling a couple hundred different standard tone wheel patches. And what you do with those is you'll select a bass tone up here. Let's select tone wheel 2, rotary 2. You have to have EXP5 loaded for that. So let's just go to some of the classic song settings. So, you know, and the purists would tell you who knows exactly what drawbars they use, but it gives you a starting place. So you can be all like... etc., etc. Finally, the last thing an old Hammond guy would know is on the left side you had those reverse keys that would hold your presets, and once again the gray box. So in using those you could call your presets up, and this is preloaded with 20, but once again you can make your own settings the way you want them and then store them here and have a bank of those 20. I'm going to cancel out of that since we don't want to do that right now. Continuing on, we'll take a look. We have all the editors for the tremolo and amp sims loaded, and once again we'll hit the button and see we have rotary 2 loaded. So let's go to the rotary 2, and that shows us our settings. If we want to change these, because of the way this works, you press the purple button to call it up, and you see now we're back to, we've got that loaded. Once again we would select the zone, which zone we're working in to do that. The one thing about the RD is board has a lot of capability, and there are a lot of different switches you can have. Whoops. I want to go back here. Controls. Let's move that to controls. Let's put that somewhere else. So we have here our control assignments, and as you know, you can always find. Get to the right spot. You know, you press Shift and move any control, and it brings up the screen right away, so you can make the settings as you want to. But this lets you see them all at one look. So there's our pedals, our wheels, and our sliders, and our button. Our min-max settings are hidden behind that. There are a lot of switches. This is less than half of the switches that I've got programmed in here, and it takes a second for those guys to load. And let's say I want zone 4 internal to not respond to any controls, so I've cleared them all out there, and I want to reserve the bend wheel only for zone 1. So you can make that setting that simple. We have our offsets here. We'll load those. There are 3 ways to edit a tone on this. We've already looked at the tone. The tone wheel is 1. For normal tones, you have just to cut off the offsets here, cut off resonance, etc. So we've got those here, and you could play around with those or reset them back. The third way is your piano designer. Finally, we have our portamento and bend. So despite all these pages, there are actually more controls. These were the ones that seemed to me to be most necessary. So I think at this point we looked at anything but the ModFx. The ModFx work the same way. We have 31 of the 62 programmed in, either the most complicated ones or the ones that were most commonly used, like a CE1 or something like that. And they work the same way. You choose the zone you want to do it. You can load the setting and see. This shows we have an equalizer. If we want to put the RE201 in there, we hit that, and now we brought our settings in for that. So that's just a quick overview. There's lots of capability in this RD2000. This layout, the intent is to try to help you understand and leverage and get in and make full use of that capability.